what we have here is a curriculum that was pursued over a few years, Vision of the Gita in 10 verses. And if you look at the cards below that, each verse I took 4 words from those verses, and basically we have 40 words that encapsulate the entire teaching of the Gita, 18 chapters of it. And this provides teaching material in our classes to explore vision of the Gita. They were developed by our Games for Seva group, developing tools that we can use for teaching and activities that are reflective. Now on that far corner is values to live by. If you notice, there is a great artwork, and these are 24 values from multiple chapters of the Gita. Values like arjavam, straightforwardness, dhanam, charity, ahimsa, non-injury. So these values were explored in multiple ways, through art, through discussion, through games, so that we can internalize those values and see the benefit of living a life of value. Thirdly, we have been exploring Ishvara through the chapter 10, which is the glory of Bhagwan, Vibhuti Yoga. So 10 verses, rather 20 verses were taken from chapter 10, and each beautiful concept was first explored by art. And what you see in this entire room is that artwork that reflects Bhagwan. And I will be using that repeatedly, either as a traveling exhibit or in our classes, to explore Bhagwan in such a beautiful way. The treasure that exists within the Bhagavad Gita is really infinite. Each concept you take and unfold, it's an entire teaching in itself. So it's really like the petals of a lotus. At every stage, it opens out more and reveals an inner treasure. And then you go a little deeper, there's another inner treasure. And one can just stay in that vision forever, literally. So my idea is that as a teacher, I explore the vision of the Gita in as many ways I can, through art, through discussions, through teaching, through chanting, through drama, and hopefully a student would go away 10 years from now and not forget that they could dip into the Gita to make their own life.
Hello, I'm Ashok Vyas, and here it's my great pleasure to see teenagers having immersed themselves in the understanding of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and what we see here is from sorrows to satisfaction and adventure of self-realization. This exhibit is prepared by 6 of them, and 5 of them are here. So I begin by you, and first just give me your names.
I'm Reena,
Harita,
Durva,
Tarangini,
and Preeti.
And so we begin with you, Preeti. What was the obstacle that you guys were given or you selected for which you wanted to show this from sorrow to satisfaction?
So the obstacle that we decided to do is about Anya, an 11th grader who moves in the middle of her 11th grade year, which is a really critical point in high school. So back in Boise, Idaho, where she's from, she's like an all-star student. She has a 4.0 GPA, she's won many awards at competitions, and she's involved in a lot of extracurriculars. But when she moves from Boise to LA, California, she's lost because she doesn't really know what to do. And our poster is about how she learns to adapt to her life in LA.
Wonderful. So how she learns to adapt to her life in LA. So there is a complete story here, and if I may ask you to come here a little bit nearby and sort of hold this and explain the board to us.
So here we start out with desire. She's an 11th grade student, so she has a lot of desires for school, like having her perfect GPA and maintaining everything that she's good at. But once she moves from Boise, Idaho to LA, California, she has sorrow because she had to change her whole life, and she's like she's scared that she won't succeed as well as she thought she would. But then through love and support from her family and new friends, she becomes satisfied with herself because she realizes she cannot change everything that has happened, and she just realizes that she should adapt and become the best she can even though she had all those obstacles. And that makes her wise because she doesn't let her obstacles make the best of her, and she just makes the best of her situation.
Wonderful. Making the best of the situation is the key. Share with me, when you work together as a team, and each one of you probably came up with different ideas. Did you guys fight?
No, I think we worked very well together, and we were able to work together and take everyone's ideas into contribution, and we were able to incorporate everyone's ideas into every part of the story.
And where do you feel you really were very happy that this idea came and which would help Ananya from Bhagavad Gita?
Can you please repeat the question?
Oh, what was the name of the character here?
Oh, her name was Anya.
Anya, okay. Yeah. So, how Bhagavad Gita helped Anya?
Well, we used the verse where she was able to learn self-realization, and she was able to become satisfied with what was going on in her life through learning wisdom. So by learning the wisdom and becoming being happy with herself, she's able to work through her obstacles and not let her environment take control of herself, and able to do what she can in life to make the best of things.
I'm delighted to hear that. Thank you. So let me share my joy when she mentioned about how she reached towards self-realization. Come on, I mean, who talks about self-realization at this age?
Well, her parents are a main part of it. Everybody knows that their parents are like the main key behind their success. So her parents gave her extra care and realized that their child's a little different from how they were. So they're able to give her the care and affection she needed to realize that, oh, I can't do anything to change it, but I can become a better person because of this change. And she changed her outcome into a better thing to help her in life also.
And where was the role of Bhagavad Gita in all this?
Well, through all of this, she was able to realize that God is helping her every day, and that the Bhagavad Gita has many different life lessons that everyone should take into account, that maybe we don't have to go through these experiences to realize, because learning through experience is not the only way to learn. You can also learn through texts like the Bhagavad Gita.
Durva.
Durva, you know the meaning of Durva?
It's like the stuff the type of grass you put near Gampati.
That's absolutely correct. So here is Durva, and she has also been a part of this wonderful project. How was it when you guys were discussing what story to take?
So at first we didn't exactly know what to do, but then we realized that if we wanted to connect everything, we should come up with a story that everyone can relate to, like all teenagers can relate to.
So in this case, the cause for Anya's dissatisfaction was what?
She had to move from Idaho to California, which is extremely difficult for her because she had to leave all her family and her friends behind, and she had to start a new life.
So what would you say Bhagavad Gita teaches us to absorb changes or uncertainty, or what is the key message from Bhagavad Gita for you?
I think it's to accept yourself and learn to adapt to your environment and live with yourself, and learn that no matter what, you have the support of God and your family and your friends.
Thank you.
So what we have here today is really a very special exhibit called Vision of the Gita. There are 6 teams presenting six poster boards, where each poster board is part of the Make Your Life series. And the idea is each team is presented one obstacle and in their life, and they have to apply Gita principles, values, and Ishvara in terms of concepts and meditations to transcend that obstacle to achieve their goal in life. And each poster board is quite unique. Now what you see in front of me, right on my side, is actually the art exhibit, which is entirely from chapter 10 of the Gita. 20 verses have been unfolded by concept and word in terms of what it could possibly mean. For instance, if you look at Bhagwan in chapter 10 talks about what all he represents. And one concept, say, that he represents, he says, I am the master of the sense organs. And here you see an artistic, a representation of a yoga pose which represents mastery of the body and mind to be able to hold that pose in a certain fashion. So my students actually developed the art, and we have professionally designed it so that it can be used to show the glory of chapter 10 of the Gita. There are many such concepts that were explored. One is, I am the Vishnu among the Adityas. Bhagwan is talking about all the things that make up his glory. And the whole idea of working on this art exhibit is for my students to really reflect as to why these traits, concepts are so full of glory. And just to reflect on Bhagwan in this very focused fashion is almost as if Bhagwan designed chapter 10 of the Gita for just that.
Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas and I'm so delighted to be a part of this exhibit where we are here in this group referring to Riya's Dilemma. And what is happening is Vision of Gita and all these students of Bhagavad Gita here at Young Indian Cultural Group, they were given a task to find application of Bhagavad Gita, take some obstacle and then come up with a solution. So let me first of all thank this group for having thought about Riya's Dilemma. So who is Riya here?
So Ria is a 17-year-old who...
Okay, so you want to explain.
Yeah, thank you. So Ria is a 17-year-old girl who's about to go to college. She's always had a passion for photography, and she would like to pursue that as a major in college. However, her parents are very strict about her being a doctor. So Ria has to make a decision about what she wants to do in college and what she wants to major. And she needs to discover and she needs to realize what she wants. And we're going to explain how she can cope with the situation.
So now, what is your name?
Anushka.
Anushka, so we go one by one, and if I start with you, do you smile quite often or less?
A little bit less.
Okay. What's your name?
Yash.
Okay, yes, when she mentioned about Riya's Dilemma, then you guys were thinking about the solution. Who came up with the solution first?
Well, I mean, we all had different aspects of the solution, right? So we thought of like different ways she could deal with the problem. So, okay, so like each one of us just thought about different perspectives, different parts of it. So like I thought about like how she could interact with her parents. They thought about how she could like break it to her parents what she could do beforehand and just like things like that.
Let's say if there was a real Riya somewhere, will she be happy reading this?
Possibly.
Hey, what's your name?
Arya.
Arya, tell me about the verse which you guys probably referred more to offer solution to Riya from Bhagavad Gita.
So actually they're on the front of our board here. We drew 4 specific principles. Actually, if Yash can speak on them because he's the one who interacted the most with these.
Okay. So we use Asosyan, Pandita, Anushkanti, and Prajana Vandan, which are 4 different principles that all apply to this. So the first one, you want me to explain? So the first one is not worthy of grief. So, not worthy of grief. The one discerning wisdom. Right? So Riya doesn't want her parents to feel grief over her choice because they might feel like they didn't do a right job as parents because she didn't want to be what they wanted her to be. So she wants to tell them, and she wants to make sure that they know that this was her choice. They didn't like do something bad. That's why she chose to be a photographer. The second one is the wise. So what Ria's gonna do is tell her parents early on, because if she tells them later on, it's gonna be a lot worse. It could be a bigger calamity that could occur. So if she tells them now, they'll have time to accept and change and even support Ria's choice. The third one is lament, which just means accepting change. Because Ria's young, her career path is always gonna, change a little bit and tweak a little bit. But because her parents are like older and their experience, their like plan for Ria is not gonna change as much. So they're gonna want her to be a doctor, and that's not gonna change much. But her career path might change. Might be a photographer today. It might be something else tomorrow. The fourth one is words of wisdom, and that applies to the parents a little bit more, because the parents, they might have been in this situation when they were younger, so they might, because they might have suffered and then they chose to be a doctor, so they might be telling Ria, don't go through that suffering, just go straight to being a doctor, you'll be happy, you'll be successful. So they might be just trying to help Ria in their own way.
I'm kind of not just surprised but overwhelmed how much thinking has gone into this Riya's Dilemma, if I call it a story, and finding the solution of that problem. Anything you want to add more to what he said? I'll come to you.
So on top of the Bhagavad Gita's principles, we also looked at the practice of meditation and how the practice of meditation could be applied to solving this dilemma. So while looking at meditation, we focus at two specific aspects of it. One is focusing on a specific crisis, and the other one would be to look at your humility in life. By focusing on this, by meditating and focusing on the specific dilemma here, the crisis, that's the rift between her parents, the conflict, their ideological differences, she could forget everything else and just focus on what's important, whether or not being a doctor is right for her, whether or not being a photographer is right for her. And at the same time, she could meditate on, her own humility. Will she be happy? Will she find satisfaction in life as a photographer? Or or do her parents just have the best out in her mind when they say that she should become a doctor? And by using meditation, she could really help herself in solving this problem.
Wonderful. By meditation, and as I meditate, I want you to also share your take, and then finally we'll come to her. When I come to you, I want you to mention name of everyone. You remember their names?
Yeah.
Okay, start.
Okay, so that's Yash, that's Anushka, Arya, Dia, and I'm Sanjana. So one of the other things that Ria can use is values such as Yasha, which is fame, and her parents want her to achieve the recognition and fame through becoming a doctor, but she wants to achieve the recognition and fame by becoming a photographer. If someone is really passionate about something, they have the incentive and they have the drive to go towards and be successful in what they really want to. Suppose she becomes a doctor. She doesn't have that same passion. She doesn't have that same drive. So she might actually achieve a lower level of success and recognition than she might by becoming a photographer. Another value that she might use is samatha, which is equanimity. She wants to achieve peace for herself, and by achieving peace for herself, she's following the true path in life, which is what she wants to do. And what she wants to do is become a photographer, not a doctor. She wants to listen to herself and what her thoughts and what her feelings are telling her, and that's becoming a photographer.
Wonderful. So I think this is also an exercise which helps them as well as us to see the same situation from different point of view. So here Ria's dilemma, what is she thinking, what her parents are thinking, and the values which are enshrined in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So being a part of this whole exercise, what did it teach you individually? Is there something where you felt that, Bhagavad Gita is addressing that particular problem of mine?
So yeah, this taught me to work in a group, and I also learned that to be open-minded, to listen to your parents, because for this situation, Ria's parents have a lot more experience than she does. They're so much older than her, and they work, and they're just trying to do the best for her. So they're asking her to be a doctor so that she can be able to, she can support her family and she can have a sufficient life. Instead of maybe being a photographer, she might not make enough money and she might, fall, and then she'll...
So eventually in this story, Ria agrees to her parents, or what happens?
So that's really up to Ria. We're not Ria, so we can't decide for her.
I appreciate that. So I think that's a great answer, and that's what in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna also exposes Arjuna to everything, and then he says, now whatever you deem fit, follow that. Yeah. So there is a sense of openness in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and that tradition of Hindu religion where you are encouraged to ask questions and seek answers from a place which is grand and glorious, and the root of that place are available for us even today, and they are relevant in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And Vision of Gita, Vision of Life?
Yeah. No,
What was this whole series?
So we were looking at Bhagavad Gita cards, and Ratyanti gave us these obstacles, and she was like, here, make a story, have a dilemma, and have a solution to the dilemma. So we took meditation as this is an aspect of the Bhagavad Gita and different principles that we've learned through this class, so we use those to make this dilemma for Ria.
Wonderful. So I congratulate all of them, and I want those who are not holding it to clap for them as well as for other groups here. And I thank Rati Rajaji and all the members of Young India Cultural Group, as well as once again to all these five. I'm Ashok Vyas.